Hello, my darlings. This is Maria, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. We're talking about spirituality here, so if you would like to be a part of our little tribe, you're more than welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about starseeds, specifically 7 signs that you may be a starseed. Now, this comes from some of my personal observations, as well as working with starseeds, connecting to starseeds on a daily basis also as I look at the collective consciousness of humanity. Now, I already made one episode on starseeds. I'm going to link it below so you guys can watch it. I don't love the term starseed because I'm of the opinion that pretty much every soul that is currently incarnated on Earth has had incarnations on other planets. Here, we are going to use starseeds as a more pop culture term to denote souls that would not identify Earth as their home planet. So just wanted to give that quick disclaimer. And now we're ready to dive into 7 signs that you may be a starseed. Sign number 1, impatience. Starseeds often come from worlds that are higher dimensional than Earth. Again, this is a large overgeneralization. Some starseeds love other third dimensional planets, but as a general rule, a lot of starseeds that come here are 5th dimension and up. Things move a lot faster in those worlds. Manifestation is faster. You're able to build things faster, make things faster, create things faster. And time moves faster, right? So when you come here, you have to, as a starseed, you have to get used to the timeline and the time-space reality of planet Earth, which may be in and of itself quite complicated. But really, the number one thing that all starseeds have to get used to is the fact that Earth moves very, very slow. So if you're feeling impatient sometimes, like, are we there yet kind of energy, or like you wish you could move faster in all ways of your life. For instance, it could come in a form of just driving faster. If you're preparing meals, you would like to do it faster. You're looking for ways to optimize, to hack this game because you're used to getting fast results. I don't know, if you're growing a social media channel, you're like, why is it so bloody slow? If you're growing a business, you're like, well, I wish I was double, triple, 10x the size. Starseeds are not really big on patience. So if you're feeling impatient, that may be a sign. One thing I forgot to tell you, but I'm telling you now. Do you have to have all of these signs? Absolutely not. They're probably, we could do research on starseeds, and there's probably hundreds of different signs that you could be a starseed. I'm just naming some that I find to be fairly frequent and fairly common and fairly telling. So there goes that. Second sign that you're a starseed. Second sign that you're a starseed is that you are an empath. Empathy is something that comes from the heart, right? It is our ability to sense and feel the emotions of another. It just happens so that planet Earth is not at a stage where humanity's hearts are naturally open. Empathy can only come from a heart truly uncaged, from a heart truly unrestrained and unrestricted. And that just tends to be the energy that starseeds bring, right? So if Earth is your home planet, most likely you're not going to be all that empathetic because a lot of humanity is still in survival mode. A lot of humanity is still in the yellow chakra, right? The identity chakra, the divide and conquer chakra. And, obviously empathy is in the heart space. And not everybody who started opening up their heart is automatically an empath. For instance, you may be able to feel fairly high degrees of love towards somebody or even towards your community and may not be able to be empathic or be an empath. Because an empath is actually, so if you think about the heart chakra, it has degrees to which you have integrated it. And empathy starts at about 90 degrees of 100, right? So your heart chakra needs to be fairly developed for you to be an empath. That's the second sign. The third sign is your lower chakras tend to be underdeveloped and your higher chakras tend to be overdeveloped if you're a starseed. What do I mean by that? A lot of starseeds, again, are not used to lower densities. And as such, they don't really have any of the chakras that belong to physicality, which are really 3 most important chakras that are considered lower chakras. This is your root, your red. This is your sacral, your orange. And this is your solar plexus, your yellow. So very often, this is an overgeneralization again, there are starseeds that are really killing it on these chakras. But if I'm just looking at the global collective, this is what I'm seeing. Lower chakras could use some work. What does this mean? Starseeds are not all that grounded. Starseeds may have issues around making money or getting themselves to want to make money. So the willingness to live in a material world. Starseeds may have a hard time committing to things in the real world, anything from a marriage to a college degree. They're kind of like unsure of where to go and unsure how to deal with their physicality because this is so new for a lot of starseeds. Now, of course, like I said, there are many starseeds. Like if you're a starseed and let's say you identify with, I don't know, Pleiades as your home planet, but you have incarnated here on planet Earth for many, many, many let's say many dozens of times, you may have already worked through your lower chakra situations, and yet, those are still going to be, comparatively speaking, more challenging to you. As opposed to higher chakras. So a lot of starseeds come here with higher chakras already extremely well developed. So they have a very open crown, meaning they could just receive messages from source. And so they have a much easier time with things like inspiration, things like intuition, things like just having a deeper understanding or knowing of things just because you know and not because somebody told you. Another example of open higher centers could be strategic thinking, where you're able to see the forest from the trees, where you're able to kind of like soar up like an eagle above the nitty gritty and be like, okay, I see this, I see that, I see that. So system thinking, which is why sometimes like revolutionary thinking or true innovation is actually a sign of a starseed because it is open higher centers. The fourth sign is you may have a very vivid dreams, comparatively speaking, compared to some other beings. Very often, you would have a very active imagination again. Higher chakra is very, very open, but not only that. Starseeds tend to play games that are, shall we say, a little bit more complicated. And so they usually have more splits in terms of their higher self is usually split into more incarnations than somebody that is, for whom Earth is a home planet, a home-based planet. And very often you do get connected to those, let's call them parallel incarnations through your dream state. You also get connected to all kinds of other environments through your dream state. And it just happens so that if you're a starseed, your environments that you connect to when you dream are going to be either more higher frequency or more complex because that would be reflective of your experience. And so more vivid dreams, more unique dreams, dreams that also essentially... Also, if the dreams feature unknown worlds or something that just doesn't make sense on Earth, that could also be a sign that you're a starseed. 5. Not every starseed would have it, but I thought I would mention it because this is kind of fascinating. So some starseeds are going to have memories, either very early from their childhood, so they would really remember themselves earlier than most Earthians, let's call them. And and sometimes you would even have very strange memories. Like some starseeds remember them being in their mother's womb or the process of their birth. Or essentially, if you remember yourself before the age of 3, chances are you're a starseed. Again, very high and very open higher centers. Very often, essentially, the veil of forgetfulness hasn't come in play fully. And so a lot of, again, a very open and very active mind would make up for the fact that you would remember things really, really early on. Or another version of how this may play out is this. If you remember an instance or instances where things didn't quite make sense when you were a kid and you grew up, when you were growing up. Like for instance, you could look at yourself in the mirror and you wouldn't recognize yourself. And you'd be like, I don't remember my hair being this color. I don't remember my eyes being this color. Or let's see, you see first snow and you're like, I don't resonate with this. What is this first snow? I don't know what that is. It's like, it's just feeling of being surprised or discombobulated by the environment that you are in. We all have a frame of reference as souls. And that frame of reference tends to come from the experiences that we have had in the past. So if planet Earth feels foreign somehow, or certain things here physically don't make sense, that's definitely a sign that you're a starseed. It may come in different way, shapes, and sizes though. For instance, when you were learning the language, certain things may not have made sense to you. For instance, I don't know, you were looking at an apple, somebody told you that this is an apple, it looks like this and this is an apple, and all of a sudden you were on this like merry-go-round ride of, why is this an apple? This feels arbitrary. It could have been called a pear, but now, and so essentially you understand how arbitrary everything is, from language on this planet to how certain things come across. And so if you felt like, and you remember having this adaptation period, you're a starseed. Sign number 6. I call this the observer syndrome. The observer syndrome is exactly what it sounds like. When you are not always able to engage in every single aspect of society in a way that a lot of other people are. Now, it doesn't mean that you're an observer everywhere in your life, but certain things you just cannot engage. It could be pop culture. You just like don't get pop culture. Or it could be that you just don't get politics or war or bullying, or you just don't get racism, or you just don't get, for instance, why same-sex marriage hasn't been legalized for so long. Like some things about Earth just don't make sense to you. And so what ends up happening is you become an observer because you cannot internalize. So somebody who is native to Earth, because they have all of these ancestral memories, a lot of the things on Earth just make sense to them. Like it makes sense, like the negativity makes sense, the wars make sense, the fact that the rich people are getting richer and the poor people are getting poorer, all of these things make sense to somebody who is native to Earth. And they're able to engage with the things that other people are able to engage with, from, like I said, concerts, sports, alcohol drinking, meat eating, all of these things, right? There's so many that are kind of like the norm. And then you have your outliers. So if you feel like you're an outlier in one or more areas in your life where you're like, I can observe and I maybe even could try to comprehend this behavior, but I'm certainly not going to partake. And there could be some judgment, but it doesn't always come with judgment. Sometimes it's just like you can't relate. If you can't relate and you don't understand what that's coming from, very often, you're a starseed. Yeah, like that's why a lot of starseeds, right? They would go vegan or vegetarian because, again, eating other animals is murder. Murder doesn't really make sense in high dimensional worlds, right? So things like that. But for Earthians, it's completely normal, right? And sometimes you may even come across as very preachy if you're like, don't murder that chicken. And they're going to be like, what do you mean? That chicken was born for me to eat that chicken, right? That's not generally the opinion that starseeds have. The 7th sign that you may be a starseed, and I kind of really like that. You are a big fan of fantasy, fairy tales, and sci-fi. For me, that's kind of like a dead giveaway. So if you want to meet other starseeds, you can just go to Comic-Con. I'm fairly convinced a lot of people at Comic-Con are undercover starseeds. I'm joking, of course, but not. So here's the deal, right? When you're a starseed on your home planet, is pretty much any high frequency, high dimensional planet in the Milky Way galaxy, you're used to variety and you're used to a lot less homogeneity. Right? Here, we're all just humanoid, obviously there are animals and plants, we're humanoid. And so we kind of look very similar. And yes, there is some, difference, very slight differences in skin tone, honestly, on this planet. But all things considered, we all have very similar DNA, roughly not the same DNA. And that being said, this world comes across, very boring and dull, actually, because a lot of starseeds are used to variety, like DNA genetic variety. A lot of starseeds are used to non-homogeneous planets where, there are all kinds of beings from all kinds of walks of life. And so as a starseed, when you get bored, you need to be mentally stimulated and also reminded of, let's say, your home planet. And that's why a lot of starseeds naturally gravitate to fantasy, whether that's novels, movies, or conferences for that matter, or anything that has to do with fairy tales, magic, fireballs, dragons, even angels, like anything that's beyond the norm, you kind of gravitate to, and definitely sci-fi, right? So there are some starseeds that are more tech savvy than others, like the Orion group, for instance, the Arcturians, they're very tech savvy. And so those ones would tend to like movies like Star Wars, for instance, where it is very tech advanced. So, because again, it's a memory, right? Like a lot of the beings that came from those star systems have real memories and attachments to being on the spacecraft, to, doing intergalactic travel. And so there is also a feeling of nostalgia for those. There are planets with a lot of magic. Sirius, for instance, has a lot of magic. And that's why the people that are of Syrian descent, they miss, like being able to not necessarily wave a magic wand, but manifest things instantaneously and use, let's say, fire magic or water magic. So that is why you kind of like, because you're feeling nostalgic, it's kind of like comfort food. Some people just need, they have a certain food from childhood that they love, and they just really, really need to eat it to feel good. Same thing with like fantasy and sci-fi movies and Starseeds. Well, this was just like a really, really short overview. Oh, I just want to say one last thing, just because I had to. I really had to. Okay. Do you guys know what, not frustrates me about Starseeds? That's not the right way of putting it. What I kind of feel a little bit sad when I see a lot of Starseeds is this. For some of you, this may be the most helpful thing that you hear in this entire video. Here's the deal. Starseeds have a hard time committing to the earthly incarnation. Before you come, it's all fun and games. Like when you're planning this incarnation, you're like, okay, it all makes sense to me why I want to show up. I know my mission. I'm ready to go. And then it's time to descend. And then they're looking it kind of feels like a black abyss, actually, and descending into a body feels like, do you guys know roller coasters? When they have a drop, when you have a drop and like your stomach is sinking, that is kind of like how it feels descending into a body. I remember the feeling really well. It's one of my least favorite feelings in the world. Like descending from a high frequency, projecting like as a higher self, projecting yourself into a physical body in a low dimensional space is actually kind of painful, low key. Like higher self does not experience pain. The closest that it experiences to pain is descending into a physical body. And so here's what happens. We all know that it's painful. And by the way, it doesn't even have to be Starseeds, but Earthians feel that too sometimes, like you just don't want to descend back into this beauty that we call planet Earth, because it's hard, right? It's a hard, low-dimensional world. And so very often, and that I find with Starseeds is like time and time again when I'm like looking at them, like especially if I'm trying to help somebody that is energetically feeling like they're down or they're dealing with like low energy, there tends to be one thing that I find to be very common for Starseeds, and that is not 100% of their energy made it to their physical body. Because when they stood in front of the abyss and they jumped, a part of them was resisting the jump and a part of them was resisting being in the slower dimensional frequency. And so it kind of split during the moment of the jump and the descent into the body, and a part of them went into the physical body and another part split itself. And the question is what happens with the split part, right? The split part can just be floating around in ether right next to the person, or the split part could be, oh my God, essentially it could be in the atmosphere of planet Earth. It can be stuck somewhere in the in-between. It can be stuck next to the veil, but even beyond the veil on the other side. Like I've seen it all. When that happens, Starseeds have a hard time understanding their mission and have a hard time feeling motivated and staying on track because they have 100% of their mission laid out. And very often, they have 100% of their mission laid out, but they don't have 100% of the resource. So when your higher self plans a mission, it gives you just enough resource to carry the mission through and maybe like a small buffer. But if you're missing 30, 40, 50% of your energy, if that is not even in your physical body, then you're going to have all kinds of symptoms around, again, like fatigue. There's like so many. And it would be hard to impossible for you to align with the path that you came here to be on, because again, you don't have 100% of your resource. So very often when I work with Starseeds, what I would recommend is bring in 100% of your energy back, claim your energy back. How do you do that? I'm getting feedback from the collective as we guys are talking, so I'm just going to tell you how you do that. If this sounds like you, and even if this doesn't sound like you, just do a quick check. So if you close your eyes and focus on your body, and then what I want you to imagine is the same energy that's in your body, like your body is going to feel like a certain color. Like let's say it looks pink to you, like energetically, it looks blue, it looks green, whatever. I want you to look around you in your vicinity, or just like expand and look around and see, is there anywhere else can you see the same color, the same frequency anywhere else around you? Because no two beings are going to have the same frequency. So if you're looking around, I don't know, up, down, to the sides, and you're seeing more of that energy just floating around, that is your dead giveaway that you didn't take 100% of your energy into your physical body. So what you want to do is you kind of want to stretch out your hand and just grab that energy that's floating, or just open yourself like a vessel. You can open it in the crown, because usually when souls descend into a physical body, they come through the top of the head, the crown center. So you may imagine that that lost part of your soul is coming through the crown and then descending into your body. And then you want to anchor it. So you want to take that energy and anchor it into the earth, because that is the other part. A lot of starseeds are not grounded, you guys. They just, again, really hard because lower centers are underdeveloped. Because of that, right? They're not tethered here. So they sometimes have issues with some of the simplest things, such as providing for themselves, right? So you want to take that part of your energy that just entered your body and imagine that it has a hook. And then you want to send that energy through the soles of your feet into the very center of planet Earth, Gaia. And in the very center of the planet Earth, there is an emerald crystal that represents the heart of Gaia. You want to hook that energy over the heart of Gaia. And that is the absolute minimum thing that you need to do to anchor that energy. Otherwise, you're always going to be half full, half empty. And it's really hard to get stuff done when you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to have 100% and you don't. And so that's probably the number one self-care tactic for a starseed. Okay. Awesome. Well, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you can relate, and if you feel like as a starseed, you felt like there's some resource in you that's lacking and you could never figure it out. And let me know if you end up trying this practice and doing essentially the claiming of your energy back, and let me know how it goes in the comments. Alrighty, I'm sending you a big virtual hug. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!